mystery and ambiguity, where the government's propaganda machine strives to project an image of a thriving and cohesive society. Yet, the utopian image presented by the government is far different from what regular North Koreans experience on a daily basis. This remote nation is notorious for its tight borders, stringent censorship, and severe punishments for dissenters, which make it challenging for visitors to see how ordinary life is for its residents. North Korea's urban infrastructure is antiquated and insufficient, and there is little access to clean water and frequent power outages. Many North Koreans now live in abject poverty and are malnourished as a result of the nation's obsession with acquiring nuclear weapons, which has diverted funds from needs like food and housing. The government has created a system of purges and human rights violations that are unimaginable to most people in the contemporary world because it places a strong focus on allegiance to the ruling family and party. Ordinary North Koreans display tremendous resiliency and inventiveness in their daily lives, despite the awful circumstances they confront. They have learned to live in a culture that places a premium on obedience and conformity, despite having little access to knowledge and resources. Their experiences provide a fresh perspective on the difficulties dictatorship-affected citizens endure, as well as the strength of the human spirit under pressure. In this video, we will explore the reality of North Korea and the daily life of its ordinary people. We will look at the problems they encounter, the effects of being in a society where information is strictly regulated, and the efforts they make to endure and prosper in a place where basic essentials are frequently in limited supply. Let's get started. Urban infrastructure. Gleaming skyscrapers, effective transit, and contemporary amenities spring to mind when we think about urban infrastructure. The level of urban infrastructure in North Korea, however, is a far cry from what we would consider being typical. The metropolitan regions are in a terrible state of decay as a result of the North Korean government's mishandling of resources and priority allocation. Pyongyang, the capital of the nation, is frequently praised as a model of North Korean urban development. Yet the truth is very different from reality. The city's public transit system is unreliable, with frequent breakdowns and lengthy wait times, and its roadways are littered with potholes. The city frequently experiences blackouts and has irregular electricity supplies, leaving its citizens in the dark. Also, there are problems with the water supply, and many homes must use hand pumps to have access to clean water. The North Korean government has not made any investments in infrastructure expansion or even upkeep. The vast majority of the country's structures are decrepit and in urgent need of repair, and the situation is even worse in rural regions where there is no access to essential infrastructure. The truth is that many North Koreans still lack access to essentials like food, shelter, and medical care, despite the government's assurances of development. Several ludicrous circumstances have resulted from the government's poor resource management. For instance, the Ringrado 1st of May Stadium, the largest stadium in the nation, has a capacity of 150,000 spectators, but is rarely utilized. As this is going on, locals struggle to have access to necessities like clean water and decent healthcare. If you enjoy the content we create, consider subscribing to our channel. By subscribing, you'll never miss out on our latest videos and updates. Nuclear weapons. But the problems of North Koreans do not end there. North Korea has been busy stockpiling nuclear weapons, while the rest of the world has been working to minimize them. Under the shadow of Kim Jong's cruel government, the hermit country is continuing to build up its nuclear weapons as the world watches with bated breath. The bleakness of the situation is only heightened by the North Korean government's appalling track record on human rights and its bellicose rhetoric. It is thought that the country now possesses somewhere between 20 and 60 nuclear weapons, as well as delivery systems for them. Even a little nuclear attack might have disastrous results, and the fact that it would be launched by an unstable and unreliable regime greatly heightens the danger. North Korea's contempt for human life is among the program's most horrifying features. The nation has a lengthy history of violating human rights, especially via acts like torture, forced labor, and public executions. The maintenance of the government's own authority comes above the welfare of its people. Nuclear weapons are used to oppress people in this situation, not as a deterrence. Responses to North Korea's nuclear development have been ambivalent across the world. The regime has not been much dissuaded by sanctions or diplomatic pressure, and military intervention would be disastrous. Dialogue and interaction are the only channels for the progressive movement. Starvation. It's difficult to understand what it's like to go without food in a world when there is enough of it. Yet, it's a reality that many people in North Korea live with every day. As a means of restraining them and preserving power, the horrifying North Korean dictatorship is to blame for the starving of its own people. Because of the government's disastrous agricultural policy, the nation cannot produce enough food to feed its population. North Koreans are thus compelled to rely on food handouts from other nations. But, despite this assistance, many individuals still go without food. The World Food Programme estimates that around 10 million North Koreans experience food insecurity. By spending funds intended for food distribution and production to support its nuclear and military initiatives, the government exacerbates the issue. Also, they give members of the governing party priority when receiving food, leaving starving regular folks in their wake. The arduous march of the 1990s is one especially heinous instance of how the government treats its own people. North Korea experienced a terrible famine at this time, which was made worse by floods and a failing economy. According to estimates, between 240,000 and 3.5 million individuals perished from diseases associated with famine during this time. In reaction to the famine, the authorities denied that it was occurring and blocked relief from getting in. They also had people leave their houses and go in quest of food in other areas. Many others who attempted to cross the border into China were killed along the route, either from famine or from being put to death. The hardship that North Koreans experience as a result of their government's actions is tragic. Purges. The North Korean government's strict control over its people has long been a source of worry and indignation. There are several instances of people being harshly punished or even executed for the smallest transgressions as part of the regime's use of purges to uphold its power and control over the populace. The death of Jang Song-theek, the uncle of North Korean leader Kim Jong Un, in December 2013, was one of the most well-known purges in recent memory. The administration held Jang in high regard, but he was also accused of a number of crimes, including corruption, drug usage, and womanizing. After a quick show trial, he was put to death by the firing squad, and his body was allegedly burned with flamethrowers. Other purges targeted common North Koreans who had broken the regulations of the state. At Haryong, 10 individuals were publicly killed in 2016 for attempting to flee to South Korea. According to reports, the group was apprehended by Chinese officials and sent to North Korea, where they were tortured and made to confess to their misdeeds before being murdered in front of a large audience. The North Korean government also utilizes forced labor camps as a form of punishment for people who have been found to be disloyal or to have committed crimes against the state, in addition to executions. These camps are infamous for their harsh living circumstances, whereby detainees endure torture, malnutrition, and hard labor. No one is immune from the government's fury due to its unrelenting quest for complete control over its people, and the prospect of punishment hangs over every facet of everyday life in the nation. Dictatorship. By now, we have learned that North Korea's dictatorship is a terrible stain on mankind. With an iron hand, the Kim Jong administration has dominated North Korea, putting its people through terrible tragedies. The dictatorial rule of the North Korean government over every facet of its citizens' life is a horrifying illustration of the perils of totalitarianism. The leadership in North Korea has total control over what the people there can see, hear, and even think. The media is strictly regulated, and any opposition to or criticism of the government is harshly retaliated against. A sobering reminder of the horrors done by the dictatorship is the famed work camps across the nation. The Kim family's cult of personality is another unsettling aspect of North Korean leadership. With propaganda posters and statues honoring them, the royal family is presented as being nearly divine. The world community is already uneasy, and this concern is only increased by the Kim family's fixation with nuclear weapons. In the end, North Korea is a totalitarian dictatorship that values the regime above its citizens. Remembering the human cost of the regime's actions and supporting initiatives to better the lives of common North Koreans are crucial, while the world continues to debate how to handle this crisis. And with that, today's video comes to an end. Aren't we all horrified by these insights into the life of North Korean people? What are your thoughts about it? Do let us know in comments. Also, if you enjoyed watching the video, please hit a like button, subscribe to the channel for more videos like these. Thank you for watching. See you soon.